Hey, everybody. Today is Monday, December the 4th, and you are watching FCN Prime News. I'm Trezene, and we're here to bring you your news, current events, politics, business, sports, and pop culture from a perspective that matters to you. As always, we are simulcasting live on Facebook and YouTube, so hello to everybody who is watching, no matter where you happen to be watching. With that said, you already know what I'm going to say to you guys. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got something up our sleeves for the holiday season, specifically our 12 days of Christmas list. And you are not going to want to miss this. It will start on every day beginning December the 12th, and you're not going to want to miss out on any of the special holiday programming. We're going to talk about the best of Christmas season, so head on over to YouTube, type in the Fifth Column Network, and hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get on to these news stories. First up, a 28-year-old woman, a teacher, in fact, has been arrested after she allegedly had sex with a 16-year-old student in a park this past spring, Pennsylvania police have said. Alicia Marie Reddy was arrested Friday on charges of institutional sexual assault, unlawful contact with a minor, criminal use of a communications facility, and corruption of a minor. Police have said that last month they got a report of an alleged sexual assault which took place at a park along Route 32 in Pennsylvania in the spring of 2017. The investigation determined that Reddy allegedly had sexual intercourse with the student when teaching at a New Jersey high school. Reddy is living in the Baltimore area. She's being held in Baltimore while she's being waited to be extradited to Pennsylvania, police say. So let me get this straight. This woman was teaching at a New Jersey school the last academic year, sexually assaulted that New Jersey student in the state of Pennsylvania, and now she lives in Baltimore. So she done took this boy across state lines and now got a job at another school? Whew, get this scumbag off our streets, this rapist pedophile. Police have reported that she has been terminated from her school in Baltimore. In other news, y'all's president is a legitimate, I don't know even if I know what that means exactly, but I keep seeing y'all use this on social media, so I felt it in my heart that this was an appropriate use. Trump has formally endorsed pedophile rapist Roy Moore for Alabama's open Senate seat. In a statement, the White House said that Mr. Trump and Mr. Moore spoke on the phone and that the president endorsed Mr. Moore's campaign. The president had a positive call with Judge Roy Moore, during which they discussed the state of the Alabama Senate race, and the president endorsed Judge Moore's campaign, the statement from the White House said. While many Republicans called for Mr. Moore to drop out of the race after several women came out with their stories and made him embroiled in accusations that he had inappropriate sexual relations with underage girls, Mr. Trump has defended him, saying that Mr. Moore has denied those accounts and he deserves to be heard. The fight over the highly contested Senate seat, which became vacant when Mr. Trump tapped Jeff Sessions to be his attorney general, comes at a time when sexual misconduct has become a national discussion. In our next story, speaking of that word again, do you guys remember Brock Allen Turner? He was arrested in 2014 after a couple of students spotted him thrusting his body on top of a half-naked, unconscious woman behind a dumpster on the Stanford University grounds. He was charged with 5 felony counts: rape of an intoxicated person, rape of an unconscious person, sexual penetration by a foreign object of an intoxicated woman, sexual penetration by a foreign object of an unconscious woman, and assault with intent to commit rape. Whew. He was found guilty of only 3 of those 5 felonies and had been charged with, and most of us remember this thug because although he was facing a maximum jail sentence of 14 years, the judge sentenced him to only 6 months. He walked out of that county jail, though, in 3 months, 3 months later, after only serving half of that very laughable sentence. You're probably like, Trezene, yeah, we remember the story already. Why are you reporting on this now? Well, this guy has filed for the appeal of his conviction. Turner's lawyers are claiming their client was denied due process during this trial and that the trial was fundamentally unfair. Why? because the prosecuting lawyers kept giving the jury repeated reminders that the assault took place behind a dumpster. Turner's lawyers argue that what transpired that evening took place in the open, not behind a dumpster, and therefore the implication that the crime occurred behind a dumpster prejudiced the jury against Turner. The appeal says that the dumpster detail implies an intent on Mr. Turner's part to shield his activities, and it implied moral depravity, callousness, and culpability on his part because of the inherent connotations of filth, garbage, debris, and criminal activity associated with dumpsters. News flash, Mr. Defense Attorneys, the dumpster is not what made this morally depraved. Y'all must be getting paid a hell of a lot on that billable hour to file this trash appeal. Since we're on the topic of entitlement, white people are feeling oppressed and have started a movement called It's Okay to Be White. Y'all can go search it on Twitter for yourselves. It's full of ridiculousness, from wanting to ensure the future of white children to being okay with having smaller lips than black people. This tweet, I know, right? Hilarious. This tweet from Qasim Rashid Esquire says this: imagine your race has 44 or 45 presidents, 90% of Congress historically, and your average net worth is 10 times to 13 times greater than the average person of color's net worth, ... and still feeling so insecure, you need to start a movement to normalize white supremacy. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back from commercial break, we'll have some more stories about politics and international news for you.
When I mix a record, I want to make sure that everything is sonically pleasing to the ear and everything has its own space. I know it looks easy, but this is years and years of hard work.
I love my old lady love me. She be driving me crazy, no place that I'd rather be. She's a beast in the kitchen, she fix breakfast in bed, and there's no competition. She's the best with her hair. She keeps
Scooch, Swizz up. Yeah, Sticks, we got one. Straight up.
talk to him, Gucci.
I ain't thinking about these bitches, but they're thinking of me. Richest nigga out the hood, and they know I'm a G. Every king need a queen, so I got me a queen. We one hell of a team, I'm the man of the dreams.
Most people will only respect what you do when they try to do what you do and fail at it. When I mix a record, I want to make sure that everything is sonically pleasing to the ear and everything has its own space. I know it looks easy, but this is years and years of hard work.
I love my old lady love me. She be driving me crazy, no place that I'd rather be. She's a beast in the kitchen, she fix breakfast in bed, and there's no competition. She's the best with her hair. She keeps
Scooch,
Swizz up.
Yeah, Sticks, we got one.
Straight up.
Hey guys, guys, welcome back to FCN Prime News. In the early hours of Saturday morning, the Senate passed a new tax bill, the biggest rewrite of the individual and corporate tax code in the United States in 30 years, and one that offers huge tax cuts to banks, developers, the oil industry, amongst other corporate interests. How that tax code will potentially impact you as an individual depends a great deal on how much you actually make. People who itemize their deductions are likely to pay more in taxes than they do now. People in high tax states are especially likely to end up paying more under the new plan. Those numbers are good until 2025, when the tax breaks for individuals and families will expire. Then many low and middle income households will start to see their taxes go up. Here are a few highlights of the plan that are applicable to you, our FCN viewers. The top individual rate is reduced from 39.6% of tax to a little bit lower of 38.5%, at which the threshold for this top rate kicks in at about $400,000 for a single person, $480,000 for a married couple filing jointly. There definitely impact as the further you go down the bracket, the rates are reduced as well. The top rate on the income earned by owners of flow-through businesses, so S corporations and partnerships, is reduced from 39.6% to a little below 30%, which is huge if you own your own business. The standard deduction is doubled from $6,000 as a single person and $12,000 to $12,000 for a single person and $24,000 for a married couple. Deductions for exemptions have been repealed, but the child tax credit has increased from $1,000 to $2,000 through the age of 17 for now. The more popular itemized deductions, state and local income taxes, casualty losses, unreimbursed employee expenses, among others, have been eliminated, and that's going to hurt some small business owners. The corporate rate, though, has reduced from 35% to 20% for tax. Businesses will be able to immediately expense their asset purchases after 5 years of 100% expensing, which is going to be a great thing for businesses that are purchasing new equipment and other assets. And for those out there who may own an LLC or corporation and have children, you may want to spend an hour or two with an accountant to review how these changes may impact your tax liabilities and your refund check. You certainly do not want to get caught off guard come February or March expecting one check but getting another. In other Washington, D.C. news, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty on Friday to lying to the FBI about conversations with Russian ambassador last December, becoming the first senior White House official to cut a cooperation deal in the special counsel's investigation into election interference. Mr. Flynn's discussions with Sergei Kislyak, the Russian ambassador, were part of a coordinated effort by Mr. Trump's aide to create foreign policy before they were in power, documents released as part of Flynn's plea agreement so state. It should be noted that the conversation that Flynn had with the Russian ambassador was perfectly legal. It was perfectly legal for him to have that conversation during the presidential transition, so folks are trying to understand why he lied about it. We all saw Trump's tweet on the issue. He said, "I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and to the FBI. He has pled guilty to those lies. It is a shame because his actions during the transition were lawful. There was nothing to hide." The description of the conversation raises new questions about what Trump knew about Flynn's situation when he urged then FBI Director James Comey to drop the investigation into Flynn, and whether anyone in the White House, including the president himself, attempted to obstruct justice. In other international news, Bali, Indonesia's highest volcano, Mount Agung, could still be on the brink of another eruption, with tens of thousands of evacuees stuck in limbo on that island. When the Bali volcano erupted last week, it sent up a plume of smoke and ash and produced dangerous mud flows called lahars. There you go. A week ago, the head of the volcanoes at Bristol University warned that the lahars could be the precursor to deadly flows. He says, and I quote, "The eruption could end abruptly and then continue as is or escalate to a major eruption." Volcanic eruptions are almost impossible to forecast accurately, so a good way for scientists to predict whether a volcano is about to erupt is to study its past activity. Mount Agung last erupted nearly 55 years ago when a series of eruptions killed more than 1,100 people. The 1963 eruption started with small ash explosions in February of that year, followed by lava flows, and then an explosive eruption March 17th of that year, and a second major eruption 2 months later. Now locals who are old enough to remember the last eruption fear this current dip in volcanic activity may be just the quiet before the storm. Here are the latest updates on Mount Agung's activity. Bali volcano continues to spew steam, but activity has decreased. Airports have reopened as plumes from Mount Agung start to thin out. The Bali volcano alert remains at a maximum level 4 as volcano experts are still trying to see if eruptions are going to happen soon. More than 59,000 people have been evacuated from Agung's danger zone as volcanic experts continue to keep watch. And black ash has rained down on all the villages that have surrounded Mount Agung. Time magazine has announced its short list for the nominees for its Person of the Year. And quite frankly, I was surprised to see that there were quite a few notables nominated on that list that our FCN viewers might like to know about. First up on the list of nominees were the Dreamers. This refers to the thousands of undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. by their parents when they were children who face uncertain futures if the Trump administration follows through on plans to end the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. Some Democrats have threatened to force a government shutdown if the legal status of Dreamers is not resolved. Second on that list of nominees is Kim Jong-un. The North Korean leader has renewed the threat of nuclear war in American minds, launching repeated intercontinental ballistic missile tests and exchanging threats and insults with President Trump, who has dubbed him the Rocket Man. Third on the list of nominees for Time's Person of the Year is Colin Kaepernick. The former San Francisco 49ers quarterback was unable to find an NFL suitor this year after launching a national protest against racism and police brutality by kneeling during the national anthem. Yet, the protest grew this year, and hundreds of NFL players have kneeled during the anthem in the wake of criticism from President Trump. Next on the list of nominees for Person of the Year for Time magazine, the Me Too movement. The movement, which aims to shed light on the prevalence of sexual harassment and assault, took off after bombshell allegations against producer Harvey Weinstein and dozens of other male leaders in Hollywood, media, business, and politics, fueling a moment of reckoning about the treatment of women in the workplace. Also on the list of nominees for Time Magazine Person of the Year is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The 32-year-old Crown Prince, the son of King Salman, recently led a sweeping crackdown on businessmen and members of the royal family accused of corruption, a purge seen by many as they move to consolidate power. As Prime News has reported in the past, he is making moves to make Saudi Arabia less extreme in its practice of Islam, which has included allowing women to drive, and he is a principal sponsor of the creation of a city near the Red Sea that will run completely on solar energy. And he and I share the same birthday, so my vote is for him. Virgos. Also on this list of nominees for Time Magazine Person of the Year is Xi Jinping. The president of China was given a second 5-year term this year and was written into the Communist Party's constitution, achieving new authority and reinforcing his status as the country's most powerful leader in decades. The 2017 Person of the Year will be unveiled on the Today Show in the 7 a.m. hour on Wednesday morning, when the news will also be shared on time.com. In the month of December, we will take time to honor the birthday of Mr. Gerald Jerry Lawson, the black genius who gave life to Atari, Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and Xbox when he designed the first household video game console and the first video cartridges in the 1970s. He was an American electronic engineer and one of the few black American engineers in the industry at that time. He is known for his work in designing the Fairchild Channel F video game console, as well as inventing the video game cartridge. There, he led the development of the Fairchild F console. He released it in 1976 and specifically designed to use swappable game cartridges. At the time, most game systems had game programming stored onto ROM storage soldered into the game hardware, which couldn't be removed. Lawson and his team figured out how to move that ROM to the cartridge that could be inserted and removed from the console unit repeatedly, and most importantly, without electrically shocking the user. This would allow users to buy a library of games and provide a new revenue stream for console manufacturers through the sales of these games. His invention of the interchangeable cartridge was so novel and influential that every cartridge he produced had to be approved by the Federal Communications Commission. The Channel F was not commercially successful product, but the cartridge approach was picked up by other console manufacturers, popularized by the Atari 2600, released in 1977. Happy belated birthday to the late Jerry Lawson. A Hispanic man has been hailed a hero after saving 2 children from a burning apartment building in Las Vegas. Anival Angulo, age 36, heard screams and saw smoke coming from the property on this past Friday. Mr. Angulo jumped over a locked gate, broke down a security door by pulling the steel bars of the door to cause its deadbolt lock to unlatch. This allowed him to access the apartment building and rescue a 3-year-old girl and a baby boy aged 10 months. The children were in the living room and food was cooking on the stove. The grandfather who was watching them, he was in the back bedroom, and the children say that when the stove caught on fire, it got bigger and bigger and they started yelling, and the grandfather couldn't get to them because of the fire from the room where he was. Many folks are trying to figure out how to reward this man for his selflessness as he is without a stable residence. Should we at FCN Prime News find out more about how one can help Mr. Angelo, FCN Prime News certainly will update this story on how you can help. In another story of being a superhero, a little superhero has beat brain cancer and is an inspiration and a shining example of strength and determination. His name is Cameron Scott. He's aged 8, and he loves superheroes who use their brains and mental strength in place of superhuman powers. His favorite superhero is Batman, of whom uses the aforementioned attributes. News outlets have reported that Cameron has modeled this superhero in the last year, showing his own toughness after being diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. Cameron is now cancer-free after undergoing multiple treatments at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. The journey, according to the family, has been emotional and grueling, but they are all proud to see their little one defy the odds in his battle of brain cancer and come out on top. I know, isn't this so great? The source reports that Cameron's medical situation began last year when he fell down a flight of stairs and started experiencing back pain. According to the source, Cameron was discovered to have a tumor after doing a routine MRI. The tumor was at the base of his brain, known as the medulla oblongata. I don't know why I didn't get that prepared phonetically. Anyway, they discovered that he had a 4th-stage brain cancer when they did the MRI. They did highly targeted treatment, and thanks to the St. Jude's Research Center, all of the surgeries were covered by them. At only 53 pounds, he endured more than 6 months of chemotherapy and radiation. The entire process, like I said, was financially covered by St. Jude. In our final story for tonight, for the last few decades, Barbie has been accused of promoting an unhealthy body image, and it's not hard to see why, because we all remember her impossibly tiny waist, skeletal frame, and her stick-thin legs. However, Mattel has endeavored to update the doll, bringing her more in line with society as it stands today. As such, Barbie has undergone quite a transformation. In her biggest update since 1959, Mattel has unveiled 3 new body types for Barbie, all of which are more representative of healthy, everyday women. They feature buxom bust, curvy hips, plump stomachs, and in some models, even hormonal acne and stretch marks. Now, Mattel has taken the step further and given Barbie her first girlfriend. Yes, official photographs of Barbie and her new girlfriend were featured on Mattel's Barbie Style Instagram page, and they're both pictured sporting marriage equality and LGBTQ awareness Love Wins t-shirts. While the Instagram page does not explicitly say that Barbie is gay, you can't help but see where Mattel is going. My favorite tweet on this comes from Jules at Little Heart Knows, who says, "Barbie has been gay. I had 1 Ken doll and about 17 Barbie dolls, so the one straight couple was the minority in my dollhouse." Congratulations to those who were waiting for Barbie to get her main squeeze, her female main squeeze. With that, that's for FCN Prime News. We're going to kick it over to J-Co. Oh, he tells me to stop doing that. It's at J-Co. No, wait. It's J-Co at J-Co is it in our sports section. Are you ready to give them the sports story? All right. Take it away, J-Co.
our top sports story of the night, NFL tight end Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk, the NFL's ultimate bro, did a really bad thing. After getting his pass intercepted by cornerback TaxBill from the Buffalo Bills, he got frustrated. He got angry. I'm sick and tired of not getting calls. Privilege much. And, well, we have a little video. I would like for my TD to go ahead and run that video real quick. You will see exactly what he did.
Well, you can see the push-off right there on Rob Gronkowski. Gronk gets up and jams it. Well, you can see the push-off right there on Rob Gronkowski.
So, yeah, that was a pretty dirty, really late hit. White had to be taken out of the game. He was checked for concussion, is currently undergoing concussion protocol for that hit. And why? Well, Gronkowski was quoted as saying, there was a lot of frustration, and I was just really frustrated at that moment. It just happened naturally, through emotions, through frustration. Just wanted to apologize to TaxBill. I don't really believe in types of shots like that. But don't you, Gronk? Because you did it. It seems like a little bit of bull crap, being that frustrated that you physically, and I don't know if you can tell through the picture, but the man is almost twice White's size, and he put his full body weight, put a little extra nudge on his head, because why? Because the guy intercepted you. You guys were up 23-3 on one of the lowliest teams in the league. Where's this frustration coming from? It's okay to be white, Gronk. It is. It's okay to be white. I understand your frustration, but hey, there's a group out there for you. Now, the other part of this, the NFL has suspended Gronk for 1 game. They released this today saying it was unnecessary roughness. Your actions were not incidental, could have been avoided. 1 game. And many people are saying it should have been more. One example of this, during a game, in the heat of action, while trying to tackle someone, Bears linebacker Danny Trevahan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Yes, Miss Flowers. Candy Graham. Anyway, he got 2 game suspension for an in-game hit. The play was still live. It was an active game, an active play, and he got 2 games. Can you guess the racial identity of Mr. I bet you can. So, good luck, Gronk, with that. I mean, I really do hope that, you get calls in the future. You're 8 foot tall, 400 pounds, full muscle. I'm sure you got this little guy just like dragging you down, and he's just, hurts. It probably hurts, right? Anyway, LeVar Ball. Hashtag Lons Vargelo. It's my new hashtag I made up. Because I'm talking about all of them today. Lons Vargelo. I don't know if you like him. I don't know if you love him. I don't know if you hate him. But people, LeVar Ball ain't going nowhere. Listen, the man knows how to make headlines. In 1 day, he is a top headline of 2 separate stories. First of all, apparently the Lakers have enacted an unused rule where family members are no longer allowed to be interviewed in the little family waiting area after the game. Why is this? Well, people say, it was always a rule. It was in play before. People are also saying that because LeVar has been critical of the Lakers in these interviews, his very first game of the season, he actually did an interview on the court, which he wasn't supposed to do, but hey, they talked to him. But the real reason behind this, ladies and gentlemen, is not because he's been bad-mouthing the Lakers. It's not because the Lakers don't like LeVar Ball. It's because he is getting more press than the Los Angeles Lakers. LeVar Ball, people want to know what's happening with him more than they want to know what's happening on the court. So the Lakers are mad, they're in their feelings, and they're like, you know what? We got something for you. You cannot be interviewed right here. Will he still talk to the press? Of course he will. They'll find another way. They'll find another way. However, it doesn't end there. His middle son, Lil Jello. Lil Jello. As we know, and I reported earlier, as you know, because Trump been tweeting about it, was suspended indefinitely from UCLA because he got caught stealing in China. So what does LeVar do? LeVar says, you know what? I got something for y'all. I'm taking him out of school. He withdrew Leangelo. I think that's his full name. I'm being so disrespectful to people today. I'm sorry. Mr. Ball, the middle child, was withdrawn from UCLA because his dad said, I can get him more ready for the NBA than UCLA ever could. And you know what? I wouldn't dispute that statement. I don't think at UCLA, Jello was going to be prepared for the NBA. He wasn't even a starter. So is Ball going to, make this man ready for the NBA? I think as ready as he ever will be. What is he going to do? Is he going to go to another college? I don't know if that's necessarily an option. He probably cannot get into the G League. I can tell you this, LeVar didn't take him out without having a plan, so we will find out about that sooner or later. The only catch on this, I do believe, is will NBA teams see the value in whatever experience Jello gets from his dad? So to be determined. But, hey, man, I'm liking LeVar's moves right now. Stay going, get that big baller brand, because really it's all about the brand, right? What's happening right now, he knows the reality. Jello isn't going to be a star NBA player. The youngest one, he has potential. He probably could. Let's just make it a story. Let's get hype. Let's just feed into the brand. So he's a good businessman. He is a brilliant media savant at this point. He just came out of nowhere, and now he's in the headlines every day. Keep on keeping on, LeVar. And in our last story, Sean Livingston, NBA guard, headbutted NBA ref Courtney Kirkland. During a game, they were arguing, they got heated, head-to-head, and they headbutted each other. They suspended Sean Livingston, but in addition to that, the referee, Courtney Kirkland, was also suspended by the NBA. I think this is unprecedented. I don't know that they've ever suspended an NBA ref. It's showing that they are coming together and trying to find a common, not a common ground, but, more of a compromise in that it's not just the players that can be wrong. Refs can be wrong. With all the gambling scandals and referees shaving points and everything, I think this is a good move by the NBA, just as a general rule as well as perspective. So that is all I have today in FCN Prime Sports. We're going to kick it to Trezene, at Trezene, to close out the show. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. So we're going to wrap up this episode of FCN Prime News. Can I just say, though, that I, too, am a fan of LeVar Ball. He may be a little crazy when he's talking on the mic in interviews, but I am a fan of that black man and his fatherhood. With that, we're going to definitely end the show. Don't forget that tomorrow is the pregame show for Mr. Robot on Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. hosted by The Revolution. And what did I say? Did I say tomorrow? Oh, my bad. Wednesday, 9:30, Mr. Robot pregame show hosted by The Revolution. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Type in the Fifth Column Network in YouTube, and you will find our channel. You do not want to miss the 12 Days of Christmas list, which will start beginning December the 12th at 7 p.m. It will go for 12 days. I'm telling you, you won't want to miss us talking about the best of the Christmas season. It's going to be hilarious. You've never seen anything like it. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. With that, we are out. We love you guys, and see you on Thursday.